Hi, today I'm going to talk to you about getting water in an emergency situation. There are a couple ways you can do this. Um, I have two liters put end to end. 1 2 liter is the DIY shower that I made. Let me see if I can get a little bit closer. And the other 2 liter is a regular 2 liter, empty, and it has aluminum foil on it. Now, to do this method, here's what you need. You actually need a little bit of water and a paper towel, 2 2 liters. You need some electrical tape, some aluminum foil, and a way to tape the foil on. Now, what you do is you get your paper towel damp. You don't have to get it wet. You have to get it damp, and you stick it up inside of the 2 liter with the with the electrical tape on it. You put the cap on it. Then you tape the 2 liters end to end together. You drill a hole through the cap, and what I did was I used the cap that came off of the second 2 liter. I just drilled a hole through the center, and you set it out in the sun. This is the first way. Okay? And what it's going to do is when you set it out in the sun, the dampness from the paper towel is going to create sweat on the inside of the 2 liters. That sweat will then run down into the second 2 liter and produce water as it cools. This is the first way. This is the way to do it if you have a little bit of water on hand. I'm going to tell you how to do it if you have no water on hand. And I'll show you a way. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to do this in the house, so this camcorder won't pick up very well. But I'm going to tell you step by step how to do this. The key to doing this and making water outside, you have to get that 2 liter to sweat. That means you have to have something with some type of humidity or moisture in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how much water this has produced. This has been out since about 10 o'clock this morning. It is 3:50. Now this will not produce a whole lot of water, but it may produce enough for you to survive. Let's check it out. As you can tell, there is sweat on the top. Hope you can see that. See the little bubbles? Here's how it's put together. And here's water on the bottom. It's not a lot, but it may be enough. Now once I put this in the house and it cools down, a little bit more water should form. Alright, so let me go in the house, and I'm going to tell you the second way to do it. Now I'm not going to do this right now, but I'm going to tell you how to do this. So let me shut this off and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and I apologize for the quality. I am in the house. This camera does not pick up very well. Now, you saw the first way. For that, you do need a little bit of water to start out with. What if you have no water whatsoever? Now, there is a way you can do this, like I'm doing here, without using a paper towel and water whatsoever. What you're going to need is a container, plastic, something it'll fit either over or in, preferably sit on top. And what I would normally do is I'd put some kind of rack on this, whether it be clothes hangers, something, so it would raise it up. You can watch some of my other videos on how to make a DIY camp stove, where you can make a grill on the top, more or less, to set stuff on, pots and pans. You can use it cut down a 2-3 liter bottle, whatever you need. Now, the key to survival, getting water in a survival situation is, 1, you have to use the sun. 2, you need plastic, something that will sweat. Now, to do this, if you have no water whatsoever, I would advise this is the second thing to do. If you can do something like that, I'd advise you do it first. It's still sweating. And there's a little bit of water in there. And it's not going to produce much. I did not leave it out that long. In fact, if I would have taken this part here, dug a hole in the ground, and buried it up to about 3/4, it probably would have produced more water, because up here would have been hot, and as it went down, it would have cooled off a lot quicker under the ground, and it would have cooled off quicker that way and produced more water. It does produce a little bit of water. Possibly, if you do something like this, I would leave it outside overnight, let it build up some dew on the inside, and let it drain into the bottom. And like I say, once it's wet on the inside, it will produce condensation. This, on the other hand, is almost like that. Now, if you don't have electrical tape, which is something that's really good to have to cover it, you at least need some kind of plastic that's going to warm up or heat up. Alright, we have this big creamer container that my girlfriend got some creamer in, and I have a pan. Now, in this situation, what I would do is I would probably get a smaller pan or a glass or something that this would actually sit on top of, literally on top of it. And I would drill a hole, 2 or 3 holes maybe in the bottom. And you're going, okay. But if I just put a piece of plastic out, it's not going to do anything. It has to have moisture in it. You're right, it really does, to make it sweat out in the sun. So, what you need to do is have a couple sandwich bags that seal, or a large gallon bag, and a pin to poke holes in. Poke as many holes as possible as you can in the bags you're using. Okay? Then you dig a hole in your yard. I don't mean dig it 4 inches down, because 4 inches down you're going to get every grass, junk from the top of the ground. Dig it down where you see that soil starting to get a little moist. Use that, or go a little bit deeper. The wetter the soil, the better this is going to work. You take your soil, you put it in your bags, or your big bag, and you already have your holes punched in. Punch as many as you can. Once you got damp soil in that, then you put it in your container, close the lid, and set it out in the sun. The dampness from the earth is actually going to make it sweat. That sweat will drip down. This is for an emergency situation only. Do not rely on this for extreme survival. I mean, you may produce enough water, depends on how big your jugs are, how wet the earth is, and how much sun you have. It may produce enough water for a person for a day. But in an extreme situation, these will produce water, just in small amounts. Like I said, the deeper you dig, the wetter the ground is, the better it is. You need that dampness to make this plastic sweat. And once the earth is in there, the ground is in there, all your dirt, you close your lid off, you have a hole in it, maybe 2 or 3 holes, close your lid off, set the whole thing out in the sun. And what will happen was the sun will make the bags sweat. The dampness inside of your sandwich bags or your 1-gallon freezer bag will make that sweat. It'll produce condensation on the inside of the plastic. These are just 2 ways. There's a 3rd way. This is the last way you should do this. There's a reason I'm saying that. You dig a hole in the ground about 1.5 feet deep. In the center, you place some kind of container that will catch moisture and water. Then you put a trash bag over the top of the hole, hold the sides down with dirt or rocks, and put a rock in the center to where it will go like this, shaped kind of like this. What will happen is the sun will come out, hit that black trash bag, the condensation will run down inside, and then the ground will help cool it down and it'll create droplets of water. Basically the same thing you're doing with these. Like I said, I started with just a little bit of water for this, just a hair. I have a paper towel up in there that is just damp. It wasn't wet, it was just damp. I did rinse it out. I squeezed it out as much as possible. And you can see the condensation there. You can see the water droplets, because I put it out in the sun. And once again, if you need emergency water, there are various ways to get emergency water. But if you don't have water to start with, I mean, in a situation like this, if you want to make one of these, which is the DIY shower, solar shower I made, and just another 2-liter bottle, wrapped in foil, and if I would have buried that, it would have created much more water, because up here the condensation is hot, the sun makes it hot, and as it goes down it cools and it turns into water droplets. This is the same principle. But if you don't have water to start with, you don't have a way to make something damp on the inside. Now, just setting a plastic jug outside is not going to work. It has to have something damp on the inside to help with condensation. That's why I'm saying use dirt. Dig down a foot and a half if you have to. When you see that dirt is moist, then that's what you need. And the holes right here that you punch in here, as many as you can, but you still need it to seal. You don't want that dirt getting in your drinking water. And you can't always filter it later, but you need something moist. And the holes will let some of the moisture out inside here to actually create a little bit of water. Like I said, these are for emergencies only, extreme emergencies. This is not going to produce a gallon of water a day. But if you leave these out all day like that one, leave it out all night. Let it cool down. Let some of that condensation settle. That will produce more water than just setting it outside whenever. I did leave that out for a couple hours after I made it today. And there is just a little bit of water in there, but a little bit is more than what you have if you have nothing. And once again, you can get plenty of water if you have enough containers and if you have enough moisture to do it with. Wet dirt is the best. Moist dirt will produce some. This container here will sweat. It will just take longer than that container because that container is black. And like I said, this is for an emergency situation. This is not something you can live off of every single day. But I've seen numerous videos on YouTube where people are talking about spending a whole bunch of money buying a dehumidifier or drinking water out of your air conditioner. That water's nasty. It's gross. A dehumidifier and an air conditioner has to have power to run. And in a severe emergency, you don't have power. I have 400 watts of solar, and even I would not run one of those machines. It would take everything that I produce. So I wouldn't be able to use it for anything else, like running lights or cooking or charging a phone or anything. Just to make water, I would have to use every bit of my solar. And the machines you can buy that produce water out of the air, basically they're big dehumidifiers, are extremely expensive. Like I said, this will produce a small amount of water. But you have to have something moist or wet on the inside. And if you don't have access to water, use dirt. Dig down. Get it to where the dirt is moist, at least moist. Put it in your bags or your big bag. Make sure there's plenty of holes in here. You want this moisture, you want it to sweat. When that sun hits it, this will sweat. In a severe case, what you can do is just use a container by itself. Put dirt in one of your bags. Don't put holes in it, in the lid. Don't, put your dirt in here. Put your dirt in here. You have your holes punched in here all over them. And throw that dirt in there. And then cap it off and just set it outside. That will produce a small amount of water. Of course, your water will be in there with your dirt, but you can always filter that through like a coffee filter if you need to. I'm tired of watching videos where people are telling other people, go buy this, go buy that for survival, but yet in a survival situation, you don't have access to all that. Most people have access to some type of container, some type of bags, like sandwich bags, freezer bags. And if you don't have access to that, the one thing you can try to do is wrap your dirt up in like a t-shirt and throw it in there. What you need to do is keep that humidity and moisture in the container, but keep the dirt out of your water. And once again, you can filter that if you need to. This is an emergency way to get water. Does it produce massive amounts of water? No, it won't. But in an extreme situation, every little bit of water helps. I do plan on redesigning my solar shower. I actually plan on making a few more of those. I just have to get some more electrical tape. And I actually may make a water collector to leave outside, using 4 or 5 of those, and then having PVC pipe hooked up to them, run over and then down into another container to collect water. I may do that. Right now things are really tough, so spending money is not something I really want to do. But once again, this is for an emergency situation. There's more than one way you can get water. The ground is an excellent way to get at least some water. Not a great deal, but some. Use dirt. Use a plastic container that's food safe, and use the sun. Make that sun beat down on that. Put it out in the middle of your yard somewhere where that sun's going to hit it, where it's going to get extremely hot. It'll make condensation, and that will turn into water. And it'll pull that from the dirt. Alright, well, once again, I'll show you this one. You see little water droplets. And if I left this sitting here, more water would actually come down and form in here. Like I said, it's not a whole lot, but it is something. And if you leave this out for 2 or 3 days, it probably would produce quite a bit, because once there's humidity and water in the second one, it would actually help. Alright, well, that's the end of this. I hope this helps you out. Feel free to try this. And like I said, if you use bags and another container, punch as many holes as you can and that small as you can. Use some type of needle. You don't want that dirt actually coming out into your drinking water. And once again, I appreciate you watching. Everyone have a good day.